Up next on this episode of Elevator Talk is Monica Talbert, who is the founder of Plant-Based Seafood. Monica, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Thanks so much for being with us today. It sounds pretty straightforward. The Plant-Based Seafood Company. I assume it's as straightforward. What you sell is as straightforward as it sounds.
Yeah, it was a genius move for SEO, by the way. Yeah, mind blown. We create healthy and delicious seafood experiences made from plants, so close to the real thing that they will blow your mind. And just as much as we focus on taste, because we do focus on taste first, we know that our consumers are moving towards a plant-based lifestyle for health reasons. So we're soy-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, of course, corn-free, and non-GMO. And we like to say that we create seafood experiences for everyone, whether you're vegan, whether you have a shellfish allergy, whether you are flexitarian, or reductitarian, right? That's a new one. We have that seafood experience for you. And, we feel like we have the expertise. The founders are from the seafood industry. We like to say we're a little bit like Allstate. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. And we're here to create a solution. We're not claiming to be the only solution, but we are claiming to be a really delicious, sacrifice-free solution. And we have a larger vision of relieving the pressure off of our oceans. And we launched in 2020, so right at the beginning of the pandemic, and we launched direct to consumer, but that gave us great data about where our customers were and where they were purchasing from. So when we were ready to launch into retail, which was less than a year ago, we hit those markets where our consumers were, which is LA and Chicago, just launched in New York and Dallas and Austin, Texas as well. And in the next quarter, we will be launching into food service for the first time. So recent news, Q1's been really fun for us. So we signed on investment partnership with chef Spike Mendelsohn, and we were named top 500 food tech companies in the world, which is mind blowing considering, where we were just even 2-3 years ago. The Nexty Award for best frozen product, which I'm still kind of reeling over. And last week took home World Innovation Award for best plant-based product, where we were in a category with huge heavy hitters. So super humbled and honored with that one. So can't wait to see what Q2 has in store for us.
Monica, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you over the past couple of years. I remember meeting you right around that pandemic start time. So, not every company made it, and it's been exciting to see you guys thrive and continue to win these awards with such a great product. I'd love to hear a little bit more. Ray mentioned it before, plant-based seafood company, pretty straightforward, but now the product it has on the box and on the new packaging, mind blown. How are you thinking about what the brand is at this point?
Absolutely. So we've been making more of a shift now to be more like mind blown plant-based seafood co. When we started a plant-based seafood company, we were just spinning off, the plant-based items from our real seafood company. And so as the brand has evolved and mind blown really became obvious that that's what we should lead with, we're really starting to focus more on mind blown as the name and the brand. But plant-based seafood, again, has been really, really good for us on SEO. So can't complain on that front.
A time and a place to make any changes. Yes, no, fantastic. That's, when we think about the brand and kind of what I alluded to earlier, plant-based seafood company, I think especially in newer categories or ones that are quickly emerging, as you said, there's so many benefits to keeping it just straightforward. And I think, mind blown, actually, you've used it several times in the pitch so far. It's such a fitting part for the brand, and really exciting to see what other categories and subcategories it opens up for you.
Thank you, Cessna.
Monica, the thing I want to know, and whenever I'm having a plant-based version of an animal-based protein, or what we've commonly known as an animal-based protein, is the texture. Does the texture fit what we expect? And I think in the case of seafood and scallops and shrimp, I really want to taste and feel like scallops and shrimp. Number one, does it? Number two, how have you achieved something like this? Because it doesn't sound very easy.
it's really, really hard. There's so many different sea creatures, right? So the texture of a shrimp is so different from the texture of a scallop. It's different from a texture of a crab and a crab cake. Where I feel like some of the, the plant-based meat companies maybe have an easier job because it's sausage is so similar to, meat. So it's very difficult. We leverage our experience in the seafood industry for so long to help us with that. And it's another reason why we didn't launch with a raw shrimp or a raw scallop, because we're after the seafood eaters. We're after the flexitarians who are just like you want that seafood experience and you need that texture and that bounce back from the seafood. And so we wanted to start with a more just a familiar seafood experience, easing into that for consumers. So that's why, I get asked that question a lot, like, why didn't you come out with a raw shrimp? We wanted more comfortable, familiar seafood experiences, the crunchy coconut, the dusted shrimp, and the dusted scallop. But, again, to answer your point, it's not easy. And I know there's some family stories that have been on today, but again, I work with my mom, who's the head R&D, and she's just epic. So again, we'll give that credit to her where credit is due.
Well, some of the recent accolades that you received, clearly some people believe in what you're doing and are mind blown at your ability to create something that is similar to or really close to the animal-based protein. I almost call it the real thing, but the real thing is going to be one of those terms that doesn't exist anymore, as the way things are going. It's getting really muddled, these waters of plant-based, and so how do you really stand out beyond calling yourself the plant-based seafood company? Do you think that Mind Blown or the brand of Mind Blown is really on the right track in terms of differentiating itself from what is out there and, being called plant-based?
Yeah, I mean, I truly think that we're one of the leaders bringing it mainstream, and that's been our goal from day one. And I've been very vocal about this. Leading with taste and taking it easy on the MVPs that are put out is really how we see the success and the long-term success and viability of plant-based and plant-based seafood industry. And so I think the more we just look at ourselves as not just a tech company, right? Everyone wants to say food tech and biotech and all these things. Like, we're a food company first. We're there to delight you and delight your stomach. And so all of our marketing that we put out, you look on our Instagram, it's delicious photos that makes your mouth water, whether it's an alternative or not. It's just good food. And so that's the message that we lead with and the positioning that we have. And that'll also be, you'll see, we have new partnerships with celebrity chefs coming up as well, entering in the food service and restaurants. We want to be on high-end restaurant menus and having the chefs create that experience for consumers. So that's another way that we're going to really separate ourselves, from the pack.
And I love that, actually, Monica, you've had experience across several channels. I'd love to hear what has been between direct to consumer, launching into retail, and now the upcoming launch with food service. What has been the biggest learning across each of those channels?
So they're all learning experiences. Direct to consumer, shipping frozen is terrible. So if you're looking for headaches, go ahead and enter that market. So that's why we started doing it ourselves. We now let, the 3PLs do their thing with it. GTFO and Veggie, and they know what they're doing. So we let them do that. Retail, that's a beast in its own, but I also love retail because you have that really close, intimate, conversation sometimes with consumers on the shelves when they're picking up and touching your products. But of course, there's lessons, especially with COVID. There's lots of lessons with distribution in retail. I'm really excited to get into food service. One, because margins are better, but two, you get to present a different experience to consumers. They get to, experience your product in a different way, which I'm very, very excited about. And I know we'll have really great success there as well.
Yeah, I think especially in the plant-based space, and as a lot of brands are introducing themselves to consumers who are also being introduced to plant-based, food service is such a great channel, and to get that out there, and so consumers can really see what the potential is for the product. So I'm really excited for the launch.
Thank you.
Monica, can I ask you about price point? We only have a little bit of time left, but I'm on GTFO. It's vegan.com, and I'm looking at the price point for your coconut shrimp. It's $13.79 for a 10 count of plant-based shrimp. I think, consumers are willing to pay a premium for a product like yours as well. Um, but, I guess how have you balanced, that price point with demand? I guess what I'm asking is, um, you know, how are you introducing the product to more people given the fact that you are at a premium high price point?
Mhm. It's a really great question. Okay, so the price point with most premium CPG brands, when they start out, they want to be at a high price point, right? It's a good business model. So you can, eventually come down from there. That it's not any different for us. However, when we launched, we wanted to launch in the places where we knew we could command that premium. So you don't see us in Whole Foods yet. You don't see us in mass, distribution yet until that price point can come down, because we want consumers that shop there, or use Sprouts, to be able to, put that product in their cart more than just once, and not just a novel, trial purchase. That these prices will come down, eventually with cost efficiencies and things like that. And also, that's another really great channel for food service. So the products that we'll be launching in there, will have a lower price point. You kind of have to, right, because you have the extra margin. But that's definitely something that, with production efficiencies will eventually come down, and you'll see our distribution to match that.
I love that way of thinking as well. I think, as you mentioned, lots of early stage brand. It's you're going to launch with the premium and the way you thought about it, and launching where you can command that premium, and then with scale and time, sort of that quote unquote perfect intersection of meeting the consumer at a price point that they are familiar with and they can access, but also finding them where they are at the stage of company that you're at. So
Yes, I know maybe Whole Foods wasn't a good example, because I know you go to Whole Foods, it's whole paycheck. But
each time I leave the store, oh man, no kidding.
Well, Monica, it's been so enlightening hearing all about your company. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us. Good luck with everything going forward. And I'm really hoping to see your brand on menus here in the Boston area, if not in our local Whole Foods. I know it'll take some time to get there, but I'm excited for the future of this brand for sure.
Thank you so much, Cessna and Ray. Bye-bye.